Alrighty. Welcome to another Ring Partner webinar. Good morning, good afternoon, possibly good evening to wherever you are in the world. Extremely happy for you all to be listening today. Today, we are going to be talking, wow, it's still morning for us, marketing plan for 2020 open enrollment, a complete campaign guide. I'm super excited about this today. I am always joined with the wonderful Matthew Levine, one of our digital media buyers and account managers here.
I wear many hats. How's everybody doing?
Awesome. And myself, Taylor Reynolds, or some of you know me as Big T. Let's just dive right into this. It's an extremely busy time of year for publishers and advertisers alike. It's open enrollment, which basically requires a ton of work for everybody and a big opportunity to make some cash. So let's go over the agenda. Number one, what is open enrollment? We'll flow into open enrollment dates, targeting tips, what to avoid, some traffic sources, and IVR information. So, what is open enrollment? Well, it is a period where people who are eligible for Medicare and or health insurance benefits can enroll in plans without having to worry about not qualifying due to pre-existing conditions or health problems. Now, we always make the joke, Matthew, because we're up here in Canada, open enrollment is a very new thing for us, even though we experience it every year from afar.
It's a new thing for the States as well, because this was thanks to the ACA, aka Obamacare,
right?
That this happens. Before, not everybody was eligible for health insurance. Now everybody is, which is a brilliant opportunity for both Americans and for marketers, because it basically concentrates the time that somebody can go in and change their plans, whether it's for Medicare supplement, whether it's for what's called a Medicare Advantage plan, or whether it's for a health insurance offer for somebody who is below 65 and doesn't have health insurance through their employer. And that's a lot of people in the States.
And, as a publisher, it's a 3-month, 2-month period where you're going to see opportunity for high volume campaigns with health and Medicare. Of course, it's high competition, but the volume is out there. And when I say out there, I mean I have publishers and advertisers alike that can't find enough homes for their calls, and on the other hand can't fill their budgets because there's too much demand. So like I said, very big opportunity volume wise for any publishers out there looking to kind of get in to open enrollment. Open enrollment dates. So health insurance, which is the under 65, November 1st, 2019 to December 15th, 2019. And Medicare is October 15th to December 7th. I do recall most years it does get extended.
Yes. Last year it didn't, though.
You're right. Last year it didn't, but I have seen it up until early February before.
Okay. And a lot of it has to do with Trump and whatever he's feeling. Basically last year he was like, yeah, we're just going to shut it down. They didn't spend any money whatsoever on promoting open enrollment last year,
right? Which
was a little bit of a challenge. Hopefully this year it'll be a little bit of a change. There's been, we don't know what's going to happen. But definitely open when the government of the United States, the federal government of the United States of America promotes open enrollment and they have ads blanketed everywhere, you're going to have a lot more search volume. If they are not spending money on an ad budget to promote open enrollment, then it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge to bring search traffic in, but it also opens up an opportunity for display traffic. Because people are going to be like, oh, when's open enrollment?
Right.
They'll be looking for that opportunity to go in and change their insurance.
And if you're a publisher, what kind of time period do you need, would you say, to get ready for open enrollment, no matter Medicare or health insurance? A month, 2 months, that kind of thing? It's not something you can just decide after hearing this webinar, probably. Hey, that's a good idea. I'm going to just start fresh. Probably be quite hard.
I like to actually prepare all year for this.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
Just because, and there are people who are eligible throughout the year to change their health or Medicare insurance. There's certain things like if you have, major life changes, you can change not during the open enrollment. So there's still opportunities to generate calls for the product. Or you can generate calls before open enrollment because let's say, you're interested, but they need to wait until open enrollment. They're doing their research before open enrollment happens. And then when they have the ability to change their medical insurance, or whether it's Medicare if they're over 65, or health insurance whether they're under 65, there's still that opportunity that they can then phone back, or the provider who we're connecting them with can go ahead and change, can call them back.
Right.
So there's an opportunity for this all year. But what open enrollment does is it just increases the urgency and lets people know. It gives them that opportunity. Hey, you have until December 15th. Hey, you have until December 7th to change your health plan to suit your needs. So it just gives that increased urgency. It gets people engaging with health care or health insurers, and hopefully they will find the best plan for them.
For sure. And I think that's a really good tip to work at this all year. Of course, not the top of your priority list, but especially for search marketers or anybody really relying heavily on Google, having your toe in the water a little bit all year, a few paid calls a month, just keeping your pulse on the industry and keeping your quality score consistent and working at that the whole year is probably a good step forward for when you start open enrollment, as opposed to kind of starting tomorrow, because of course we all know that takes time to build up that quality score. So yeah, definitely good tip. And that rolls perfectly into the targeting tips. So for health insurance, highlight choices and potential life changes. Matthew's kind of already touched on that. For switching to health insurance providers, demographics, obviously under 65. And for Medicare, hit your parents up. Let's just be honest. All of our parents are probably over 65 right now. Target callers who are already who already have Medicare and looking for supplemental coverage. Focus, like I said, on retirees. Focus on our parents. Any other kind of targeting tips? Those are pretty basic. Those are very kind of first page to open enrollment.
One thing that I would add is that your target audience is going to be middle income, because poorer people are going to qualify for what's called Medicaid, where they don't have to pay for their coverage. Wealthier people will often be covered by employers or their former employers in the case of Medicare. Like my dad, he has a pension. He, has his Medicare covered, or his Medicare supplement covered by his former employer who he worked for 20 something years.
And he's in the US.
He's in the US.
We should have had him on the webinar as a guest.
Yeah. But it's so funny. When I first started working here at Ring Partner, I actually asked him for some advice regarding this.
Why not? That is the best way to find out about a niche, though, is to ask somebody who is a plumber, who works at an auto insurance agency writing policies. So, good stuff.
Yeah.
On to the next. So what to avoid. I wanted to move on to that from that quickly because you did mention Medicaid. Any mention of that is a very quick way to stop a campaign and not make any money. Our buyers, and I'm sure a lot of you have experienced this before or your friends have, they are watching this traffic like a hawk. They don't want any of the Medicaid. Avoid targeting specific health insurance providers, example, Blue Cross. Spouses and friends cannot call on behalf of a consumer. So you see that a lot, I'm assuming, with Medicare, a little bit older demographic, maybe somebody like who's helping within the home or a family member is calling for them. Unfortunately, you can't do that.
Okay.
Anything else that you would avoid? Anything you've kind of experienced in your promotions where you're like, won't be doing that again?
I would just say be very careful with if you're doing search, just be very careful with your negative keyword list, or just have a big one. You do want to get those very general searches to be able to your ad to come up for those very general searches, but you need to make sure there's so much potential for error in terms of the search terms just not converting.
Right. Okay.
One thing that I found interesting when doing call only ads on this, and I'm not going to be doing call only ads again with it because it just it never worked for me.
Okay.
It might work for you, might work for, there might be ways to do it, but what would happen with call only ads is I'd get a click and then they wouldn't actually proceed to the call, which is very different from pretty much every other call only campaign I've run,
Right.
where I usually get 75, 80%, 90% conversion rates from click to call.
Right.
On this, with the call only, it would usually be somewhere between 10 and 25%, and with the expense of the clicks, it just isn't. It's just not the right approach. You need to have a landing page. You need to provide some information and provide the consumer with some confidence to pick up the phone and make a call. Your clicks will also go down in price as well versus a call only ad, because you're going to have higher click-through rates. You're going to have a better landing page, presumably, and better content on it, and your quality score will go up. And then as a result, you'll have lower click prices. The difficulty is funneling that click into a call. But there's plenty of ways that you can monetize your site. You can emphasize the call, but there's lots of monetization opportunities here.
Would you say that's for both, like a tip for what to avoid for both health and Medicare?
Mostly Medicare, but health as well. I mean, you may be able to find an angle with health. I have been more successful with the call only ads with health. In terms of just getting people to pick up the phone. The back end's another story, but that has a lot to do with the actual company on the back end more than anything else, and them knowing what to do with the calls when they get them.
And I think, with Medicare, again, kind of picking on our parents here, making it easy and obvious and safe and friendly looking, like you kind of touched on, with content, and they want to feel the confidence. That's got to be key. My dad, for the longest time, didn't use online banking in fear of, information being stolen or something like that. Like things that are easy, like a call only ad where you're just click to calling right away, you're not seeing any real information, I think would scare a Medicare consumer, quite frankly. So, let's move on to the next slide. Traffic sources, search campaigns. Matthew, you're not going to be doing call only for this round, but Google Display Network, Facebook, Quora?
Yeah, Quora.
All right.
Lots of people have questions about this.
Okay.
And then you can swoop in with either a link to your website or an ad. I mean, it's a very Medicare and health insurance is very, very, very confusing, especially if you are a potential buyer for this, because you're not even sure if you're eligible for it, because it's still a fairly new thing. It's, less than 10 years old.
Right.
So there's going to be a lot of people asking questions about this on Quora, and you want to be able to show up for it.
Makes sense. And finally, Microsoft Ad Network /native. So I did want to mention, talking about this open enrollment category and all that stuff, we always say calls. Form fills as well. That's something we're buying and selling right now. If you're listening and you have calls, but also are larger in forms or vice versa, if you have any forms at all, we want to talk to you about open enrollment. We have buyers, ready to go. So reach out to your account manager about that. IVR and, crucial information. So IVRs will vary. Some will ask about new versus existing policy. We'll also ask about government versus private funded plans. So tell us a little bit more about that, Matthew, in terms of maybe the difference between the government versus private funded plans. Is that bad, or are we focusing on one? Or
well, I'm not an expert on this, admittedly.
Okay.
It really depends on who the buyer is. I mean, the government plans are things like Medicaid.
Right.
Also, certain states have certain plans as well, and because every state manages Medicare and health insurance by themselves, they have different thresholds. So it's
fair to assume that the government, because you mentioned Medicaid, potentially could be worth less than the private.
Yes.
And of course, new is always worth more as opposed to existing. Maybe not.
Well, I mean, an existing policy, it depends on a number of different things. I mean, oftentimes if they do have an existing policy, the IVR could hang up on somebody. That's why you don't target brand names.
Right.
But using your ad copy, you might be able to figure some things out. Like you could bid on a brand name, but make sure that you're pointing it as an alternative. Like if you're saying Blue Cross, well, I wouldn't bid on Blue Cross for a variety of reasons, but just because they are very litigious as far as if you're bidding on their brand name, they will go after you. But there's some other providers who you may be able to use their
operate in the gray.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Who have names that may be actual common words. So, like, let's say, I forget, like Blue Cross itself those are not brand new words. So, Google will not necessarily block it.
Farmers.
Yeah, farmers. You could bid. I don't know if Farmers does health policies, but you could bid on something like that. Like somebody doesn't even type in insurance. You type in, but I mean, it really depends on the
totally. And just so we're clear, we are not saying to bid on brands. That's not what we're saying. But everyone, has to operate sometimes in the gray, and those are some of the things that we hear about in the industry. So we are just kind of reviewing what our IVRs will be filtering for. I will say that this time period, in terms of the campaigns, are definitely the most stringent in terms of IVRs. I get the most feedback from buyers in terms of calls getting through the IVR that are not qualified, a lot of customer service, a lot of Medicaid, stuff like that. So I know some in the perfect world, shorter IVRs, no IVRs are best, but unfortunately, in the Medicare and health insurance campaigns, a lot of them are pretty lengthy. So do think about that when you are running campaigns, that your calls will need to be run through an IVR.
Yes, and basically they want somebody who's looking to sign a new policy.
Yeah,
they want to either switch companies, or they want to upgrade, or they want to do something. They want to make more money, and they don't want to just pay for calls. It's not a branding play. It's not an impression play. They want people to, it's a direct marketing play. So they want people to actually create policies and make more money off of them.
Absolutely. All right. So questions for this segment, we do ask that everybody please ask as many questions as they like. We won't be answering them on this, we'll call it segment or episode. What we're hoping is to gather a bunch of questions and see if we have any trends and kind of answer them on the next episode. So please feel free to ask questions. Just don't be insulted if neither Matthew or I are answering them right away. And of course, to finish this off, bonus offer, get 20% off your first 3 paid months on Unbounce. Please do reach out to your account managers, and if you can see at the bottom, for new Unbounce users only.
Yeah, and what's great about Unbounce is that you can very quickly create landing pages, even if you don't really have much of a design background or really an idea for design. They have a lot of great templates. You can just pick and choose. You can put up some random copy, and you can get a page that at least looks okay. You can get it on Google. It's you can experiment with it. It makes things so much simpler than it always used to be, and you can also A/B test really easily. It's a great product. I don't know why I'm selling them so much.
I was going to say, Matthew, is this a affiliate code for you? Or do you get some sort of commission off this?
I don't personally. Ring partner likely does. I'm actually just talking.
You just like the product.
I like the product.
I like the platform. I get it.
But I mean, it has its limits. But for specific purposes like this, if you're just dipping your toe in the water of Medicare and trying to figure out, is this something that can work?
It's cost effective. It's easy.
Exactly. And then when you completely kick ass with your limited test, then you can build, your more expansive site and your custom forms and, anything, make a build that's going to be a little bit more complicated and that you wouldn't want to use Unbounce for. But,
absolutely.
For simple landing pages, it's great.
And on that note, everybody, thanks so much for listening. Happy calling, and we will speak to you next time.